Hi there, I'm Ted Griffiths and I would like to welcome you to this session, which will introduce you to SAP. This is the first part of the SAP Basic Skills Training. This particular session covers what SAP is, what system requirements need to be met to use SAP, what are levels of authority, and finally, we will introduce you to some key SAP terms. What does SAP stand for? Well, it's Systems, Applications and Products in Data Processing, or SAP for short. At MIT, SAP is the application that is used for financial and administrative tools that help us to perform various organizational tasks. Some examples of administrative departments that utilize the SAP system include purchasing, accounting, HR, facilities, and environment, health and safety. Every employee at MIT will have some degree of access to SAP. As a minimum, you will be able to access your employee benefits and payroll areas. Like many other software applications, before you can access or use SAP, you and your computer must meet certain criteria. Here are the things you need to have in place before you can use SAP. First of all, you will need a Kerberos username. This is not unique to SAP, but it identifies you to the MIT security system, which in turn grants permission to use SAP and many other applications at MIT. Specifically for SAP, you will require an SAP user profile. This is created automatically for each MIT user and will reflect the authorization to SAP that your department has requested for your role. Now let's cover the requirements for your computer. First, make sure you have SAP GUI 7.20 installed. The system requirements are slightly different for Mac and Windows users, so be sure to follow the correct procedure for installation. All the web browsers you are likely to use should have MIT CA and personal certificates. Again, this is not SAP specific, but you will be accessing SAP through one of your browsers. Finally, you should have a default printer set up in your user profile, so you won't have to enter a printer name every time you want to print a report from SAP. If either you or your computer does not meet the above prerequisites, contact the primary authorizer in your department and let them know that you are having problems with. If you don't know your primary authorizer, then contact your department's financial officer or the MIT Computer Help Desk for assistance. Let's take a moment to talk about authorization. An SAP authorization is the permission in SAP that determines what you can do and where you can do it. An authorization is comprised of three parts: the person with a Kerberos ID, the function within SAP this person can perform, for example reporting or requisitions, and finally the qualifier, which determines where you can perform the function, such as a profit center or cost object. Each department, lab or center, DLC, has at least one primary authorizer who is responsible for granting SAP authorizations. The primary authorizer through SAP user accounts is also responsible for requesting access for new users, revising a user's authorizations, and deactivating a user's access. There are several key terms you need to understand as you begin working with SAP. Hover your mouse over each of the boxes to see a short video explaining each key term. Well done! This concludes the first part of the SAP Basic Skills Training. You should now have a basic idea of what SAP is and what the requirements are to be able to access SAP. Okay. You have also been introduced to some of the key terms that you are likely to encounter while you use SAP on a day-to-day basis. If this is your first time using SAP, it is strongly recommended that you view the SAP GUI session next.